In today's video, we're going to take a look at the Bunch X Nasty motion cross post. You guys know I'm a huge proponent of the cover 9 defense. However, there is a little bit of a deficiency to this defense when you are dealing with auto motion out of this formation. So make sure that you guys are hitting the subscribe button, the notification bell, grab out your pen and pad, and let's get after it. Now, I've done a lot of match coverage against the meta on this channel here this year, and you should know by now that my absolute favorite coverage in the game is the cover 9. When you're dealing with the flood meta to the sideline out of a bunch formation, which would be something similar to what I'm breaking down right here, where you have a streak, a slot fade, which is usually stemmed up, and then a stem down corner, that you'll have the ability to play match on all of these routes and be able to kind of shut down this combo. This is a very popular route combination that a lot of players run, and we've more than established that the soft squat zone will handle that stem down corner to Davante Adams, so they can't just chuck it. Now, of course, there are deficiencies, especially when your opponents decide to leak the running back out of the backfield, but this is actually pretty easily solved by a custom adjustment. So while I am breaking down the value of the cover 9 here, we're going to get into some weaknesses with this coverage. One of the things that I will very frequently do when I'm running this is I will just man up the quarter flat to the running back in the event that they are leaking underneath to the outside. That throw to the running back that I just had is very, very popular. Now, a lot of times in this coverage, I will user the safety that is on the solo receiver side, and I will take the crosser myself. You see right here that when you do this, it can be pretty valuable. Again, though, you might want to man up the running back with the quarter flat. Or another adjustment I will sometimes make to take away that running back route is by putting a hard flat out there underneath. Now, this is a very popular route combo, but what it oftentimes leaves open is some issues with the cheat wheel motion. This is the other really prominent route that players will call. A lot of times they're going to put the running back on a table route behind the cheat wheel, and then they have some sort of seam with a C route or drag with the C route. Sometimes they'll leave the running back on a blocking assignment and run the route combination just like this as well. Now, there are a couple of issues when your opponent runs this play. The first one is that the cheat wheel is open for a hike throw. You'll see here that when you run this, you could actually throw the ball pretty easily out here into this window. And a lot of times the match coverage screws up and you end up getting a rat catch touchdown. So for this particular reason, you have to have a different coverage call in your back pocket. Now, to make matters worse, you can come out in the cover 9, which we want against this bunch look, but once the auto motion starts, and I'm going to try to audible here into the cover 1 defense on the defensive controller. And what you're going to see is that when I actually audible into this, if I show my play art, it actually doesn't fix anything. So this ends up being the coverage we don't really want when they snap this ball. This is an overall bug in the game that has to be fixed. But what I am going to share with you is a way to know right away and the correct coverage for this cheat wheel, which brings me to my point that if you enjoy this type of content and the detail that we go into here absolutely free on the Zan Madden YouTube channel, you're sure to love my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. If you open up another tab and check the link in the description, you'll notice that the vault has well over 100 vault tips since the game dropped. On top of that, you guys get all offensive and defensive game plans at no additional cost, members only Discord access, and we have lab sessions inside the Discord weekly, and I archive those on the website for those that are unable to attend live. In those lab sessions, we go over solves for very intricate setups that a lot of players struggle with online. So these types of questions will benefit you when you guys want to check them out in the archive, or if you're there live in the lab session to learn on the fly and immediately improve as players week to week. Compare this to other websites that charge for one-on-one lab sessions or charge you for extra time to answer questions. It's an absolute no-brainer, the best deal in the tip space. Go check it out. Again, the link is in the description. So as I mentioned here with this, there is a direct tell to when your opponent is going to cheat motion. And I've talked about this before here on the channel. Take a look at Davante Adams here in this formation. You'll notice where he's standing here on the auto motion play, and let's compare this to where he stands on a regular play. When I audible into smash return here, you notice how he steps forward on the line. In other words, when your opponent comes out in this formation, know the cheat motion is coming if this player is already in this spot, or if they audible and he rocks backwards into this particular step. What you need to do when they are in this alignment is actually go with what we would call a cover 6 defense. And what's really important about this is that your auto flip is on. Now, the value of the cover 6 defense is this. When we break the huddle, we're going to notice that the match side, unlike the cover 9, where the match side is on the solo receiver side for cover 4, it's actually on the bunch side of the formation. And we have cover 2 match on the other side. So when we have issues with the quarter side of the coverage being on the solo receiver side, and then that extra receiver goes over there and is wide open on that wheel route, we actually don't have this issue when we're dealing with the cover 6 because the player is motioning to the cover 2 side. So if I were to go ahead and do something like this with this cheat wheel, I want you to watch the behavior of Christian Gonzalez here, who's our soft squat defender. You're going to see that he's going to take away the throw quick that we had on our last rep and then actually match this all the way up the field. Now, in terms of what else could possibly get open here, we are looking backside on this play. So when we talk about this play, most players want to throw the wheel, the streak, or the running back flat. Then they go to this drag. So when we take a look right here on this play, the way that we're actually going to set this up is we're going to user the quarter flat player, which is the slot on the right. Or we could make this custom adjustment. Now, I came out in this cover 6 for a reason. You guys also know from this channel, if you were to go all the way back to August, I am a huge fan of cover 2 match. And we talk about the importance of having vertical hook zones on the field for this defense. One of my absolute favorite coverage shells for defending this is to turn this cover 6 into a straight up cover 2 match across the board. To do this, we are going to change the slot defender into a vertical hook of his own. We are going to change the outside corner into the soft squat. We are going to change the safety over the top into a deep half. And then we are going to take the 3-rec hook defender. And my advice would be, simply put, to man him up on the tight end. This will create cover 2 match across the board. The one thing that you have to be careful with on this play is if they're throwing that running back route a lot. If they are throwing the running back route a lot, what I would actually recommend doing is using this vertical hook yourself. And you're going to take the first thing that goes underneath on this play. Now, of course, with players typically running something like this, you're going to know that you're taking the shallow cross on this play. So when they do this cheat motion, we're going to get the match we want from the cover 2 on the left. And then my job is to take the shallow cross from this side. And you see that we have the complete match coverage from the cover 2. So it actually plugs the hole that was open in our last call. So while we have everything handled to the left side of the defense here, remember when we called the cover 6 stock, we had that drag underneath that was open because of the player matching the running back. When we actually make this modification to this defense here, you're going to see that this allows us to completely shut down this call that is so popular, and also any other derivative of the auto motion. So check this out. Another thing a lot of players will do out of the bunch X nasty is this hot routable RPO. If you guys were to call a regular zone coverage like stock cover 2, for instance, and your opponent decides that they want to put streaks on the field, they don't even have to do the auto motion. They'll just snap the ball. You'll see that those players that were in the hooks ran commit, and I can throw those streaks to the left or the right if I want to. Now, here's the cool thing about setting up the cover 2 match out of this. So we're going to go right back to our cover 6, which I didn't even really touch on this, but keep in mind that when we make these changes to the cover 6, remember the cover 9 is cover 2 match to the bunch side of the field and cover 4 match to the other side. We're in a spot where if they go back and they run that sideline flood that I led the video off with when I was explaining the value of cover 9, we have that sideline flood with the corner, the slot fade, and the streak actually shut down with this covered shell here. So that's really, really good for starters. But the other thing that is really important is that if your opponent wants to run that glitchy RPO, there are hard-coded rules in the game that say that if you're a match defender, you do not run commit on RPOs. So you'll see that basically the left streak is guarded by the matching zones, the right streak is guarded by the safety, and then the other matching zones as well. So again, when you take a look here at something like this, where your opponent's trying to glitch you out, if you just modify this coverage into straight up cover 2 match, you're not going to get your slots and your linebackers run committing. So you see right here, again, check this out. Look at how neither streak is actually really open. They're matched by the soft squats on both sides of the field. They can't just hike throw those wide open because somebody's actually going to guard them. Now, of course, the one thing you will have to worry about with the RPO is if they decide to go quick to the flat. The one thing that I would actually recommend on this play is maybe changing the way that you defend this RPO. If they're throwing this flat a ton, that is a change you'll make on the fly. You have to make your opponent prove it to you first. So no defense is absolutely perfect, but when it comes to shutting down the sideline flood to the bunch side without the motion, and then the cheat wheel motion that so many people rely on heavily, This is the coverage shell that I would recommend. And of course, once they go to these motion calls where they are utilizing the streaks and the quick flat, if you guys want, you can actually man up the B receiver, so that way they can't just throw the ball into the flat. That guy won't run commit. So this is a great workaround for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna get up out of here. Subscribe to the channel, check out Gridiron Gameplay on StatGG. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, this is Zan. Get the lab and good luck.